up, everybody? My name is Amy, and this is the Ruby Pearl Glamper True Crime Podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Ruby Pearl Glamper True Crime Podcast. My name is Amy. Welcome to my show. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Been pretty quiet around here today, except for the cats bugging me. But otherwise, I've just been laying around and, letting all this soak in about the recent developments in the murder of Tupac Shakur. So I'm going to just kind of get right into everything that I want to talk about. I have so much on my mind that I want to talk about. And, there's been a lot of stuff that has come out since the recent arrest of Duane Davis, better known as Keefe D, shot caller for the Southside Compton Crips, who has gone on every media station that would have him and told how he helped murder Tupac Shakur. Hi, old lady O. How are you doing this evening? It's good to see you. Some of y'all might ask, what in the world does a middle-aged white woman from Central Arkansas know about Tupac Shakur? The answer is everything. I know everything about the murder of Tupac Shakur. I lived through the era of NWA, Eazy-E, and Ruthless Records. I lived through Tupac Shakur coming on the scene, DeathRow Records. I remember when the Notorious B.I.G. came out, Bad Boy Records. I lived through it all in real time. And when it comes to knowing about the mysterious death of Eazy-E and the murder of Tupac Shakur and the murder of Christopher Biggie Wallace, I know everything. Not only can I tell you where I was and what I was doing when Tupac was shot, I have spent the last 27 years living all this in real time. I've been studying the case and the murder of Tupac and Biggie ever since I got a computer in the early 2000s. I've studied the mysterious death of Eazy-E. I've studied the murder of Tupac and Biggie. I can't even begin to tell you the countless years of sleepless nights that I have woke up in the middle of the night and said, all right, by damn it, I'm fixing to figure out who murdered Tupac. I'm going to figure out who murdered Biggie. I'm going to find out just what in the world really did happen to Eazy-E. Did he really die of AIDS? I have ate, slept, and breathed these cases for years. I spent numerous hours going over every detail, every documentary, every interview, every Tom, Dick, and Harry that has ever had any association with Ruthless Records, DeathRow Records, and Bad Boy Records. I've studied it all because I am a loyal OG fan of Eazy-E, Tupac, and Biggie. Don't ask me to take a stance or take a side in the whole East Coast, West Coast rivalry because I won't do it. And, you know, over the years, I've had what I call my baby cases. And it's these cases that it's these top 10 cases of all times that I want to see solved more than anything in the world before I die. And the murder of Tupac Shakur is at the very top of the list. And I just never thought I would see the day that someone would finally be arrested. Because let's face it, we know most all the players are dead now. But one just could never shut his mouth, and he thought he was safe, and he thought he had immunity, you know, and couldn't nobody touch him. And that's Keefe D. And he ran his mouth to the point that you know, you just can't ignore it. I mean, when the dude's releasing a New York bestseller, you know, he's writing books. He's on Vlad TV and The Art of the Dialogue, and anybody that'll have him talking about how he provided the gun and how he was in the car of people that pulled a drive-by and shot Tupac Shakur. And, you know, over the years, just anger. And I'm like, how can Vlad just sit there and interview this dude like he's the president of the United States or something? Just nonchalant. Sit there and listen to him give a detailed description of how he murdered the greatest rapper in the world. I couldn't do it. I got 3 years of journalism, but when it comes to Tupac Shakur, all PC goes right out the door, and no way. That dude would not walk out of the room with me without being beat with a ball bat before he left. But a lot of stuff has come out recently regarding Keefe D's arrest, and apparently the grand jury transcripts have been released. Now, I've looked around on the internet for these grand jury transcripts and cannot find them. But I ran across a radio YouTube podcast show the other night called Choke No Joke. And I happened in the chat, and there were so many nice people in there, and he was reading from these transcripts and what people allegedly testified to in this grand jury meeting that indicted Keefe D for the murder of Tupac. And I don't know what to think of it. But anyway, here goes. So Keefe D, by his own claims, was that Terrence Brown was driving the white Cadillac. Keefe D was in the front passenger seat. Orlando Anderson, his nephew, was in the back seat behind him, and Big Dre, DeAndre Smith, was behind Terrence Brown, who was driving the car. So as the white Cadillac pulls up beside the BMW that Tupac and Suge Knight were in, an arm comes out the window and shoots. Now, Keefe D claims that he handed the gun to Big Dre, and Big Dre said, "No, I'm not going to do it." So Orlando Anderson took it and took the shot. Well, now a totally different story is coming out, and the witness is claiming that Orlando did not pull the trigger, that it was actually Big Dre that pulled the trigger because Orlando couldn't get a good shot. Now, I have some trouble with all this because, in my mind, do I care who pulled the trigger? Yes, I do. I do care who actually pulled that trigger. However, it don't make a difference to me which one pulled the trigger because they are all guilty. They are all equally responsible for the murder of Tupac Shakur. That's just the way I see it. The guy driving the getaway car, the guy that provided the gun, and the people that were there. I'm sorry, you're guilty. But the question is who pulled the trigger? Who actually pulled the trigger? Was it Orlando Anderson? Was it Big Dre? Was it Keefe D? Now, mind you, I can't do an actual reenactment of what happened that night. But what I can do is use my skills of investigation, and I can go and I can get in my little car and I can test theories out. And even though I may not be in the same, I drive a 2005 pink and white Chevy Aveo, okay? I don't drive a 96 Caddy. But I have the ability of going and getting in my car and testing theories out to see what is plausible, what is possible, and probable. And I did that today. I went out and I got out my car and I tested my different theories. Could it have been Big Dre? Could it have been Orlando? Could it have even been Keefe D? I do rule out Terrence Brown because he was driving the car. think that would be completely really difficult to, drive and shoot and all that at the same time. Irregardless. So I, went and I tested these different theories, and I got in the front seat of my car and I got in the back seat of my car and pretended like to, reenact the whole thing. And unfortunately, the conclusion that I came to is that it is probable that either Orlando Anderson or Big Dre could have done it. I even think it's probable that Keefe D could have done it. However, I was not at that scene. I did not see this happen. I did not see what those witnesses saw. And unfortunately, the witnesses that saw the arm come out of the back of the white Cadillac are no longer alive. Gaddafi was shot shortly after Tupac was. And he claimed that he could possibly pick out the driver and maybe even the shooter. But for some reason, his interviews with LAPD just never happened. Or Las Vegas PD, I'm not for sure which one, but regardless, they never happened. And so whatever Gaddafi knew, he took to the grave with him. Whatever Gaddafi saw, he took to the grave with him. And the only other person that I've ever heard say that they saw the arm come out and the shooting began, and there's just this big cloud of smoke, is Big Frank, which Frank Alexander, which was Tupac's main bodyguard, who I think is just fine as hell. Rest in peace, Big Frank. I know you love Tupac. I know you blame yourself for what happened to Tupac, but Big Frank is a true definition of a true friend, in my opinion, to Tupac. In my eyes, I think Frank Alexander has shown his true loyalty and his true love over the years for his friend Tupac, and he never got over it. And I believe that he always blamed himself for what happened. And even though it was, out of his control, but unfortunately, Frank did take his own life after a dispute, I believe, with his wife or something. I don't know. It's just sad. Very, very sad. But now, I was always under the understanding that the arm that they saw come out of the window was a darker skin than what Orlando Anderson was. And so that is why some people believe that Big Dre is the one who fired the shots. But then I'm seeing that no, Gaddafi said that the arm that came out of the window was lighter skinned. So after 27 years, testimony from people who are no longer alive has been so watered down and changed and switched back and forth and convoluted that we don't really know what the damn truth is. So because I wasn't there to see that arm, then, we don't know who actually fired the shot. But, when I went out to my car today and tested my different theories, I felt as though Big Dre was the most probable shooter. That don't mean he was, but he is the most probable uh, suspect, in my opinion. Do you understand what I'm saying? I hope you do. But like I said, it just depends on what those witnesses saw. You know, when the arm came out of the window, how much of the arm did they see? Did they see a left arm? Did they see a right arm? Did they see bare skin? Did they see a sweatshirt, cloth covering the arm, or a coat or a jacket? Or, like I said, was it bare skin? You know, what exactly did they see? I don't know. But if we had that eyewitness testimony, we could come to an even better conclusion, but it's just unfortunate that we don't, and probably won't ever know. And that bothers me. But, you know, like I said, I don't care who fired the shot. I believe that they are all four guilty. They're all just as guilty as the other one. So, you know, to hear Keefe D had the audacity to say, I ain't do shit. I ain't got nothing on me. You've been out here for 4 fucking years telling people how you gave the gun to your nephew to murder Tupac Shakur, dude. Like, do you not think the law applies to you? You and your fucking buddy, Suge Knight, don't think the law fucking applies to you? What is wrong with you? And I tell you, I didn't think I could hate Suge Knight any worse than I do. But after hearing the phone call between him and TMZ yesterday, I'm just infuriated all over again. Because for about the 4th or 5th time, Suge Knight is telling us, Tupac Shakur was my best friend in the whole wide world, and he saved my life. But I ain't going to snitch on who killed him. I ain't going to tell nobody who did what. I don't want nobody going to prison for killing him. With friends like that, who the hell needs enemies, Suge? Like I said, I think you and I have a different definition of what a friend is, or a best friend. And I think that Frank Alexander is the one person who has proven himself to be a true best friend to Tupac Shakur. Tupac was nothing but a cash cow for Suge Knight. And Suge Knight stole millions from Tupac, from Dr. Dre, from Snoop Dogg, Corrupt, Michelle, oh gosh, what is her name? Lady, she was another female artist on DeathRow Records, and I can't think of, but she's a female, and yeah, ripped off millions from them. And they all left Death Row with no money. Dre left Death Row with no money. Pac left Death Row with no money. And Snoop, Corrupt, all of them. Michelle, they all left flat ass broke from Death Row Records. And I want to play the audio from the phone call to TMZ. And I normally don't use other people's material because I don't ever want to get slapped with a copyright. But everybody else does it, you know. So for one time only, I'm going to do it. and I'm going to invoke my fair use copyright rights, TMZ. I don't make no money. I ain't stealing no business from you. So, you know, leave a poor old white girl from Arkansas alone. But anyway, here is the phone call between Suge Knight and TMZ. And I want you to listen very closely to what he says.
Tell me what your reaction is to the arrest of Keefe D.
Well, surprise number one, because I didn't think Keefe D would never get arrested. Nor do I want to see him get arrested. You know, let's get one thing straight first and foremost. You know, me and Keefe D playing on the same Pop Warner football team. And whatever the circumstances, if he had an involvement with anything, if he didn't have any involvement in anything, who want to see? I wouldn't wish somebody going to prison on my worst enemy.
The DA says that Keefe D was in the car with his nephew, and that presumably his nephew, according to the DA, is the one that shot Tupac, and that it was done with the full knowledge of Keefe. Do they have it right?
There was only two people in the car. And Pac not going to tell the story. I ain't going to tell the story, but I tell you this. And I never had nothing to say about Orlando because, number one, he wasn't the shooter. Number two, he came to my ear and told to let me go and tell the truth. They still didn't let me go.
If you are called to testify in this case,
I wouldn't be. I wouldn't be.
Why not?
Yeah, I wouldn't be.
Why not?
Well, number one, because I'm not going to get on the stand and testify on somebody for what?
They seem to be saying that Orlando was the shooter and Keefe was in on it, that he had full knowledge of what was going down, and it was revenge for Orlando getting beaten up by Tupac and his team at the MGM after the Tyson fight. Is that correct?
No.
Then who shot Tupac?
It wasn't Anderson, so that's all I got to say about that part.
To summarize, you are saying Orlando was not the shooter, although you won't say who the shooter was. You are not saying whether Keefe was involved in any way in the shooting. And you are saying that if you're called to testify by either side, you will not comply. You will not testify. Do I have that right?
1,000%. I wouldn't go. I wouldn't testify. None of that.
Did y'all hear that? For about the fourth or fifth time now, because he said it in other interviews, that he will not snitch on nobody. He will not tell who shot Tupac. Don't even know why he'd be called to testify. Excuse me. I'm not even going to spice that question with an answer. That's about dumb as hell. You were in the car with the man that was shot. But you don't think there's no reason for you to be called to testify against this dude. Really? Are you that dumb, Suge? But to say that you wouldn't even wish prison on your worst enemy, not only did these dudes try to kill Tupac, but you were in the car too. So do you know something I don't know? Do you know that they weren't trying to kill you? That they were only trying to kill Tupac? Yeah, we'll get into that in a minute. But is that what you're saying? Are you not mad at these guys that nearly blew your freaking head off? I don't get it. You know, and it was 2 years before Orlando Anderson was It sounds like involvement. Bingo. Oh, and the woman I was trying to think of from Death Row Records, it's Lady of Rage. That's who it is. It's Lady of Rage. Yeah, she. I mean, Suge Knight ripped all of them off, and stole masters and everything. But I want to play another video clip from an interview with Suge Knight, and because here again, he says it again, and this it all just infuriates me. But listen to what Suge says in this interview. This was an interview from prison, from when Suge was in prison after all this happened. He went back to prison for parole violation. What happened was in that fight in the MGM Grand, he reached out to Orlando Anderson to get Orlando Anderson to say that Suge didn't hit him or kick him or didn't have any involvement in the beating inside the MGM Grand. It's all on tape. Can't nobody deny it. He can't deny it. It's all on tape. But did Orlando Anderson try? Yeah, he did. But I want y'all to listen to this little interview right here.
Big pimpin' shot right here. You want me to put down your shirt? This one has shit. Okay, children, our first lesson, Brother says how to be our responsibility is now to do everything. Well, I'm gonna keep it real. Okay, yeah, please do. This is so we keep it real.
Running his empire from a cell in the Los Angeles County Jail while he awaits a hearing on charges he violated his probation from a particularly vicious assault case. You're 6'3", 335 pounds. You're a big guy, and there are people who are afraid of you. You know that, don't you? I've heard people are afraid of you. Until a night in Las Vegas, Suge Knight was little known outside the music business. That's the night Tupac Shakur, the controversial rap artist, who Knight had bailed out of prison so he could record a new album, was shot and killed by two gunmen gangland style while riding in Knight's car after a heavyweight championship fight. What did you see? Heard shots. Heard shots? Yeah. And then what did you see? Blood. Knight, who himself was struck in the head by a bullet, later told incredulous homicide detectives he didn't see anything that would help them. If you knew who killed Tupac, would you tell the police? Absolutely not. Why not? Because it's not my job. I don't get paid to solve homicides. I don't get paid to tell people. If you knew, you wouldn't tell them? No. The still unsolved murder of Shakur.
Do I need to say more? The man repeats himself. I will not tell. I don't get paid to solve homicides. Last I heard, you was getting paid, getting beat up in jail. Dude is right where he belongs, y'all. I hate Suge Knight. I hate Suge Knight's guts. I hope he rots in prison. And I hope they throw Keefe D in a cell with him and they can sit and discuss it until they die of old age and dementia. I don't give two shits. The only person I care about is Tupac Shakur. And Suge Knight, you ain't his best friend. And you're right where you belong. And Keefe D is right where he belongs. He has nobody to blame but himself. He thought he had immunity. He thought he had it made in the shade and that he could just go around out here and brag and write books about murdering the greatest rapper in the world. Just absolutely, absolutely sickening. You know, I am the type of person, I was raised with good Southern moral values. I was taught to be honest. I was taught to do the right thing. But I was also taught loyalty. And the one thing that I hope people would say about me after I'm dead and gone is that I was a loyal friend. Now, there's going to be some people that'll have bad things to say about me, and I don't care because most of it's over a dude, and it's ridiculous. But that I am loyal. But I would never stand and call you my best friend and watch you be murdered and not tell the police who did it if I knew and if I saw them. That's what I don't understand about the whole no snitching policy. And, you know, bringing up the no snitching policy, you know, I have to talk about Biggie for a minute. And when everything happened with Biggie's murder, to my knowledge, every person that was connected to Biggie, that was there, they all cooperated with the police. They all told who they saw, what they saw, and everything. They didn't have no snitching policy in place. And you know, I was listening to an interview earlier from Gene Deal, and Gene Deal was the bodyguard for the notorious B.I.G. and Puff Daddy. And what Gene Deal was saying just really got me in the gut. And he was talking about how Biggie was a sacrifice, and then that shit should have never happened. They should have never even been in Cali. And it's just that things happened, things changed, and you know, they just got to that day. How is it that the star, this is not even the proper term to use, but how is it that the stars aligned and the circumstances created themselves to allow the perfect crime and to just allow the two biggest rappers in the world to be gunned down at busy intersections after big after a big function with all these people and all these witnesses and blah, 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 but you can't solve them. And that's where, you know, this is when your mind starts going down the conspiracy theory rabbit holes. And trust me, I have gone down every conspiracy theory rabbit hole involving the murders of Tupac and Biggie there is to go down. I've been down every single one of them. And I still cannot come to a full conclusion on who I believe was involved in both of their murders. Do I believe that Terrence Brown, Keefe D, Orlando Anderson, and Big Dre Smith were in that white Cadillac? Yes, I do. Do I believe things went down the way Keefe D says it went down? Sort of. But I've always had that pit feeling in my gut. And even both of Tupac's bodyguards have even said this themselves. Don't look at Bad Boy Records when it comes to the murder of Tupac. Look at DeathRow Records. Don't look at Tupac's biggest known enemy and rival. Look at the guy that's standing next to him claiming to be his best friend. That's who you need to look at. Same thing with Biggie. It was too soon. There was no reason to have ever taken Christopher Wallace, Notorious B.I.G., Biggie Smalls to California that soon after what happened with Tupac and all the shit that was swirling. There was no to go to a party, some bullshit. No. And at the end of the day, you want to know who I hold responsible for their deaths? I hold Suge responsible for Tupac's death, and I hold Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, responsible for the Notorious B.I.G.'s death. That's who I hold responsible. Just as much as I do the people that pulled the triggers, the people that provided the guns, and the people that were driving the car. All of them. Something else that I wanted to talk about that I only found out a few years ago. I was only able to put this together a few years ago. Those of you that have followed my channel for very long know about my friends that were murdered on the railroad tracks. Kevin Ives and Don Henry, who were murdered in 1987 on the railroad tracks, and that their murders ties to a drug ring where cocaine was being flown from Colombia into Mena, Arkansas. Okay? Big drug ring involving Iran, Contra, Ronald Reagan. It's, big whole long story. But did you know that the same cocaine ring, the same cocaine that was coming in the late 80s from Colombia that killed my friends in Podunk, Arkansas, is the same cocaine ring that funded DeathRow Records? You heard me correct. Harry O, guy known as Harry O, and Freeway Rick Ross. I'm talking about drug kingpin Freeway Rick Ross, not Rick Ross, the ugly dude down in Atlanta that claims to be a rapper. I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about the Freeway Rick Ross, cocaine kingpin. And Harry O, who Donald Trump pardoned, by the way, were in that, running their cocaine and drugs and all that. Their drugs were coming from that same bunch. It's that same era in the late 80s, early 90s. But it was that drug money that funded DeathRow Records, that Harry O and them were like the silent partners and whatnot. Small world, isn't it? But I have always, in the midst of my research of the death of Eazy-E and the murders of Tupac and Biggie, there's one thing that I've always found, and I'm going to issue like I'm going to give a trigger warning here, because what I'm about to say, I don't intend for it to come across as though I am being politically incorrect, or I just don't want anybody to get any kind of a racial finger pointing or a religious finger pointing at anybody, because at the end of the day, I don't care what color you are. I don't care what religion you are. As long as you're a good person, I'm willing to like you. Like I said, race and religion does not matter to me. So I just don't want this to come across as though I'm speaking with any kind of racist motivation or religious motivation, is what I'm trying to say. But there's been a dark cloud over Eazy-E and Tupac and Biggie, and it's the dark cloud of Louis Farrakhan, the Nation of Islam, and Jews, and the Jewish Defense League. Okay, we hear all this talk, and we hear, like, especially I've heard hip hop artists and artists refer to their lawyer as their Jew. Because for some reason, I guess, all these lawyers that get involved in these high profile things, or within the music industry or whatever, all these people seem to be Jewish or something. I don't know. It just is what it is. But there's always been this dark cloud surrounding everything that happened at Ruthless Records and DeathRow and Bad Boy. And it's the shadow of Louis Farrakhan and his Nation of Islam, and then the Jewish Defense League and stuff. And what are these people's involvement in all of this? There's just there's some different, there's some very, how do I say this? There's just some very things just ain't right involving, okay, as you know, Ice Cube was a member of NWA. And then he never liked Jerry Heller. And so he left Ruthless Records and went solo and left NWA. Then later on, Dr. Dre left Ruthless Records and, went and started DeathRow Records with Suge Knight and all them. But in a diss song from Ice Cube to Eazy-E and them, he says about Jerry Heller, "You let a Jew break up my crew." And Ice Cube has been very vocal about that he is Nation of Islam. I believe he's very tight with Louis Farrakhan and all that, but I don't know what it is. Things that went on at the end of Eazy-E's death and him just miraculously, one day he has HIV, next day he has AIDS, the next day he's dead. And, they booted Jerry, somehow his wife Tamika got Jerry Heller booted out and hired Ron Sweeney, and all this just weird stuff happened right there at the end of Eazy's last days. And there's some stories that Bone Thugs and Harmony have told about some Nation of Islam guys rolling up in the office one day, and that he walked out of the office and was white as a sheet. And then there's just this whole thing with right before Tupac was murdered, him supposedly going to leave DeathRow Records and a bunch of stuff, and him firing David Kenner. And yes, David Kenner is Jewish, and David Kenner is a snake. I don't know if y'all know, but that dude is a snake. You want to beat a murder charge, hire David Kenner. I mean, I've just read and heard a lot of really bad things about David Kenner. And then, Gene Deal, Lil Cease, and I believe even Puffy saw that Amir Muhammad guy outside of the Peterson the Peterson Museum, who approached the car, and that's who they believe shot Biggie. And I have no reason to doubt Gene Deal. I have no reason to doubt Lil Cease. I have no reason, to doubt what those two guys, said. You can even hear it in the 911 call as they're racing down the road to get Biggie to the hospital. I think it's Lil Cease's voice that says, "Did you see the Nation of Islam guy, or the guy in the bow tie or something like that?" Because it's this certain outfit that Nation of Islam guys are known to wear, and they spotted him. So, they've cooperated, and these are the things that constantly stick in my mind and, cause me to wonder and cause me to think, how that this is so much bigger than just 3 gangster rappers, Easy, Biggie, and Pac. That this is bigger than them, and what all does this mean, and what all is this involvement? It's just, like I said, it's just questions that I have looming in my mind. I'm not trying to like point fingers at anybody with any type of racist motivation or religious uh, hate motivation or anything like that. I just I don't know. I just don't. I just have questions and things that bother me, and my question is now is that I keep going back to that same thought, and I can hear Michael Moore and Big Frank's voice in my head saying, "Look at Death Row. Don't look at Bad Boy for Tupac. Look at Death Row." And that whole night was awkward. Um, Reggie Wright telling everybody to leave their guns at the hotels and and not have them on them, and just all you're de-arming your security. Especially after your people just got into an altercation with some gangbangers, okay? And you're still steadily de-arming everybody after even knowing this. So, I just, what I'm getting at is, did Suge Knight hire Keefe D and Orlando Anderson and them to murder Tupac? Let's just spit it out, Amy. Spit it out. I've heard this whole story for years. I've heard this. What if Orlando Anderson was a patsy? What if he was a pawn in all this? It's as if he was planted there at the MGM to kickstart everything that would happen and transpire throughout the night. And according to Kathy Scott, who's been a reporter on the case of Tupac since day one, she says that Orlando Anderson did not even have a ticket to the Mike Tyson fight. Keefe D wants to try to claim, oh yeah, we used to go to fights all the time and blah, 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 blah. But yet, Orlando Anderson didn't have a ticket. Why is he just hanging out in the waiting room? Why is he just out standing around? Why were they there? Why were they really there? What, are you going to just hang around out in the hall and hope you get a glimpse of Tyson or something? I mean, it just doesn't, none of it makes any sense. But it all points to the perfect setup. And after hearing some things that Gene Deal was saying in this interview that I was listening to him from today, it just makes me wonder if Puffy just straight up set Biggie up. And I don't know. I really don't. But what I do know is that Pac spoke to a generation of people. And, it's funny because how I mentioned, that my friends being murdered back in 1987, and the same cocaine ring, smuggling ring that killed them, is tied into like DeathRow Records and all that kind of stuff. You know, it's weird knowing that now, because back in the day when NWA came out, I remember when NWA came out, okay? And I remember back in the day when Fuck the Police came out, because we were singing that shit loud and proud in my little hometown of Saline County, Arkansas, where 2 boys had just been murdered on the railroad tracks, and we believed the cops were involved. You don't think we weren't screaming "fuck the police" to the top of our lungs? Bunch of white kids in Podunk, Central Arkansas? Hell yeah, we were. We kind of, in a way, understood what those guys were singing about. You know, and the corrupt LAPD that they were singing about. We had a corrupt PD in my little home county in Podunk, Arkansas. We had cops that were just as corrupt. So yeah, we kind of understood what these guys were saying, these guys were talking about. You know, and then it's just like that whole, I think the thing with Pac and the reason why he reached so many people the way he did is that, yes, Tupac spoke up for, you know, his people. He spoke up for the black people and everything. He comes from a family of Black Panthers and, you know, leaders, revolutionaries. But irregardless of what color skin Tupac had, or Afeni Shakur had, or Matulu Shakur had, those people spoke truth. They spoke truth. And I think that's what drew me to Pac, and what drew me to Afeni, and I could sit and listen to Afeni talk for hours. It's something about her voice, something about her. She just speaks truth and wisdom, and that's me. I'm a truth seeker. I seek truth. And I don't care where that truth comes from. I don't care if you're black or white. I don't care if you're a man or a woman, or if you're Chinese or Japanese, or short, fat, tall, skinny, rich, poor. I don't care if you live in a trailer, a mansion, a camper, a tent, or in a cardboard box on Fremont Street. I don't care. I look for truth. I look for loyalty. I look for honesty in people. I look for all those same that same moral upbringing that I have. It may be from a different culture. And, you know, I kind of spoke about that the other night when I was talking about, you know, how, you know, a white kid understanding black culture, you know, and different things like that. It's just, I don't know. But I just, you know, the Shakur family will be remembered forever. They'll be in the history books forever. You know, it's just a shame that Tupac and Afeni and Matula didn't get to finish their messages. It's a shame that there's so much hate in someone's heart that they had to try to put a stop to the truth being spoken and wisdom being spoken. And I just feel like that's what Tupac and his mom and dad brought to the world was truth and wisdom. And it could, and while yes, it was predominantly for the black people, it still reached even people, even, like I said, a white girl in Central Arkansas. But maybe it's just because I'm a truth seeker. And that's, why I feel the way I do. I don't know. But does anybody have any questions? I'm gonna break for just a minute and just ask you all if does anybody have any questions they want to ask or anything like that, or whatever. Are there any questions like related to the murders of either Tupac or Biggie, or that you have, or anything you want to speak about? Because I don't know where this is going to go. I do hope that it ends in a conviction, in the conviction of Keefe D. Sorry you're the only one, left holding the bag, dude, but you put yourself, you did this to yourself. You went out here bragging on all over the place, about how you murdered the greatest rapper in the world, and you don't expect anything to happen. You thought you were safe. Don't blame Puffy. Oh yeah, he's crying. He wanting Puffy's help. Mad because he didn't send him no suits like he did somebody else, and blah, 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 blah. Here's the thing. I find this ironic that he even blames Puffy. Here's the whole thing about the whole Puffy hit, okay? The $1 million hit that Puffy, it's claimed that Puffy put on Suge and Tupac's head. I give you $1 million for them dudes' heads. So is it, and Keefe D himself even said that, they beat up his nephew, and his nephew wasn't no punk, he wasn't no punk, they was going to retaliate. So which is it, Keefe? Did you kill Tupac? Did you and your cohorts kill Tupac because they beat up your nephew, because your nephew stole one of their dude's chains? Are we back to that? Or did you go to Vegas with the intentions of murdering Tupac Shakur because you had $1 million bounty hit from Puffy that you were going to get paid? Which is it? He claims that Zip, he claims that this guy Zip is the one that gave him the gun to use. And Zip says, okay, here's your opportunity. These dudes done beat your nephew up. Here's your perfect opportunity to carry out this hit. Well, from what I understand from Keefe D's own words, is that they was going to retaliate for him beating up Orlando, regardless. So again, which is it? Did you carry out a hit for Puffy, or did you just retaliate because they whipped your nephew's ass? Which one is it? Yes, amen. I want this to end in a conviction, but I don't know what to think about. I don't know who these witnesses are. I don't know who all testified in this grand jury. If their testimonies are going to hold up in court, if they're going to get up there and, you know, just blow this whole case, you know, and then we have to watch Keefe D walk scot-free. I'm hoping not, but to go out here and write a book, go on multiple media platforms stating that you helped kill somebody, that's got to stand for something. That's got to have some ground to stand on in a case, whether you whether it can be corroborated or not. Now, let me just say that I do not believe in any way, shape, fashion, or form that this is what we call a false confession. No. By no means do I believe this is a false confession. I do believe what he says is true. Just not sure if he's just telling the whole complete true story as it all really happened. You know, I don't know, but I hope we don't see another OJ. You know, I hope we don't see him walk. I mean, I hear he's allegedly got cancer. He's 60-something years old, you know. So, you know, even with a 20-year sentence, hell, you know, he's still going to probably die in prison. So, okay, to you. Well, you have a good night. I appreciate you stopping by. I enjoyed having you in the chat. I'm sorry I haven't been able to chit chat a whole lot with everybody. When I get to talking about Tupac, I can just ramble on and on and on and on for hours. So, but that's how much this case means to me. You know, solving this case and seeing the people who killed Tupac and who killed Biggie as well prosecuted. I want that more than anything in this world. And I want to leave this world knowing that I saw justice for Tupac Shakur and Christopher Wallace. Those are two of the cases of my top 10 of all that I just can't even begin to explain it. I can't, how much it means to me to see these two cases get justice and see these two guys get justice. And, you know, the impact that they left here on the world and the music legacy that they left on this world, you know, will be around for generations to come. You know, my granddaughter is 11 years old. And even though she likes Cardi B, you know, I'm like, Jesus Christ, Maya, come on. Can we turn on some Tupac? Can we turn on some Easy? Can we turn on some Biggie? Can we something besides Cardi B? Yeah. She even laughed at her mama during the Super Bowl year before last when Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg and all them performed at the halftime show. She made fun of my daughter, her mama. Told her she looked silly. I was like, well, it's a good thing she didn't see me over here getting it with my broken down ass, singing along, jamming along. I don't know how they're ever going to top that halftime show. The DeathRow, not actually, it's Aftermath that performed Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg and Eminem and 50 Cent and Mary J. Blige and them, but I didn't even watch Rihanna's performance the following year, but something tells me it I heard it didn't even measure up to the West Coast performance. So anyway, whatever. But again, I just here's another thing that I have a question about, and this is something that I can't seem to get anybody to answer. Where is the white Cadillac? What happened to the white Cadillac? We've known for years that a white Cadillac was rented from a car lot in Compton by Terrence Brown's mother-in-law. A white Cadillac rented out of Compton. It carried a bunch of boys from Compton to Vegas. After the drive-by shooting happens at Cobalt and Flamingo, the car is allegedly, according to Greg Kading, ditched in a parking lot. Keefe D claims, and the gun was ditched too. Keefe D claims he went back the next day. But from there, this white Cadillac seems to disappear and has never been seen since. And like I said, we've known about that white Cadillac for quite some time. You know, they've known about the whole Orlando Anderson and Keefe D and connection and questioned those dudes. They even questioned all of them from day one. But no one can seem to tell me what happened to that Cadillac. Did it ever make its way back to that car lot? Did you people not ever question this car lot? Look, where's this Cadillac that you rented out to these guys? What did you do with it? Where is it? Did they bring it back? I mean, why have we never heard a word about that Cadillac? And, you know, as I said earlier, I've been studying this case for years and years and years. And I remember several years ago, I stumbled across, be wondering about that white Cadillac. Where's that white Cadillac? And I had stumbled across something that there was a white Cadillac found in an impound yard. You know, and is this the white Cadillac that they were driving that night? Blah, 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 blah. But like I said, it's just as if that white Cadillac just vanished off the face of the earth. And I would like for somebody to tell me what happened to that car and where is that car? So if anybody happens to know the answer to that question, or, you know, and can provide me with that information, please, if you watch this on replay, leave it in the comments below, because I would certainly like to know, because that is one of the biggest questions that I have, and an answer that I can still not get to this day, 27 years later. Where's that white Cadillac from Compton? And what happened to it? Oh, goodness. But I guess that's really all I have that I wanted to go over. You know, so far right now, I'm going to, you know, of course, stay on top of this as everything unfolds. And, you know, I'll be talking about this more, you know, in the upcoming weeks and months and whatnot, when we see, you know, how how all this unfolds and everything. You know, are we going to see the arrest of Sean Puffy Combs? You know, um, did he order this hit on Tupac and Suge? And did Keefe D and them, did you shoot Tupac because of the beatdown, or did you carry out a hit for Diddy? Which is it? Which did you do? But you know, we'll see. We'll see what unfolds. You know, there's been a lot of stuff coming out over the last several months about P. Diddy. I don't know if y'all have read any of it or kept up with any of it, but a lot of people talking about P. Diddy's parties and just him just being a little freaky deaky. And, you know, has he done things to younger guys like Usher and Justin Bieber? And there's people questioning his ex's death. Kim, the daughter of, or the mother of his kids. People are questioning her death. There's just a lot of things about, and I've heard these whispers for years. I've been hearing about these parties and stuff, and they talk about people in the industry, especially it's more known with black men than white men, but it's what they call being on the down low. And hopefully I don't need to spell out to you what being on the down low means. But yeah, I've heard these whispers and stuff for many, many years about Puffy, and you know, I don't know what to think, but 50 Cent sure won't go to any of his parties, that's for sure. So we'll see, you know, what comes up as far as Puffy, but I don't think that there is there's just no way for Keefe D to prove that this was, that he was carrying out a hit for Puffy rather than just retaliating for them beating up his nephew. You know, but we'll see. Anyway, so again, does anybody have any other questions or anything they wanted to talk about or mention or anything? You know the meaning of that phrase, oh lady, oh? Yeah. Yeah, I don't, you know, whatever. We'll see. But I think that's really about it, and all I really have for tonight. Like I said, I'm gonna be talking about this a whole lot more in the weeks and months to come. I did want to say that y'all may not be seeing me very much around the streets of YouTube. I have decided that I am wanting to take a bit of a break a little bit, but not a complete break. True crime has been my passion for 30 years. And, you know, I was doing this long before there was a YouTube and social media and stuff like that. But, you know, since I came to YouTube, and I just don't like the atmosphere here and all this crazy mess that people are doing to each other. That's not me. That's not why I'm here. I've never been involved in true crime or advocated or anything like that for any other reason than because I believe in standing up for justice, and I believe in standing up for what's right and speaking out against injustice. And all this drama and stuff here on YouTube has just made a very unpleasant atmosphere. And, you know, it gets frustrating that it's fine if you don't want to listen to my channel because you don't like me or whatever, you don't like my content, but it's quite another if you can't even see my videos to begin with because they don't make the algorithm because they're buried under a bunch of hate channels and drama. You know, I don't know. It's just a totally, it's just become unbearable here on YouTube. And you know, and I'm just not about that. I'm not about drama. I'm not about spreading hate. I'm not here on some kind of an ego trip. I don't, this isn't about entertainment for me. I'm not here to try to entertain anybody, to use the true crime cases and platform to entertain you, so to speak. And I hate being in the true crime commentary doesn't have its own genre. Like, I'm under the entertainment drama, but I'm not here to entertain anybody. I'm here to discuss cases and report news and you know, commentate and discuss things with other people. This isn't entertainment for me, and this is not about, you know, me trying to support any kind of an ego or you know, I don't even make I don't make money doing this or anything. So do I want clicks and views? Yes, but not for the same reason that everybody else wants clicks and views. I just want to discuss true crime cases with people. You know, I don't make like clickbait titles or put another creator's name or something in my title to garner your click or your view or whatever, you know. That's just not about me, and I just don't feel like I am ever going to get anywhere. I mean, I've been here for over a year now, and I've not been able to get my channel to grow. And, you know, for some reason, people are not even ever seeing my videos. I don't even know where the 488 people that follow me, I don't get that many views. I've never gotten that many views. So why are the people that are following me not even seeing my videos? They just don't make any sense to me. So, you know, I just don't know about continuing on this platform. I started on Spotify, and, you know, I've wondered, should I go back to Spotify? I mean, but I want to be able to interact with people. And I want to be able to talk with people. I want to be able to have people up on panels and things like that and stuff. You know, I talk to myself 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You know, it gets old. I like actually talking to other human beings besides myself. But I just don't know where to go from here or what to do from here to, you know, to grow this channel or to get, you know, I don't know. I just wish I could get out of this whole circle of individuals, you know, that and find the people that care about cases and stuff. Like the people the people that do follow me and the people that do come here in my chat and do watch my videos know that they care about these cases. Because there's no other reason to watch me other than that. If you did, you know, but I don't know. I just don't know where to go from here. And, you know, I'm just tired of the crap. And, you know, I mean, I've never seen such behavior out of adults in my entire life. It's crazy. But I want to thank everybody that did come into the chat tonight, and everybody that just sat back and listened and everything. Maybe you're a big fan of Tupac as well, like me, and you know, you want justice for him and for Biggie, and you know, we'll just have to see. But old lady O to you. I'm so glad y'all came in the chat. Thank y'all for always sticking with me and coming here to, you know, just hear about true crime cases and discussing and, you know, commentating on things. I don't ever expect to solve a case. I don't ever expect to find a missing person or anything like that, you know, but so if I don't do anything but just bring awareness and things to their cases, then you know, that's a good thing. I wanted to mention the little girl in upstate New York that was kidnapped, Charlotte Senna. Little girl was kidnapped from a campground in New York, and I cannot be more thankful and grateful that we finally, you know, had a missing kid case solved so quickly and found relatively unharmed. You know, that little girl has a chance. I don't know what trauma she endured during her captivity. But I feel as though that she's alive. She was found alive very quickly, that she hopefully didn't have to endure too much trauma from her kidnapper. But you know, that one got me because I live that RV life. I live that full-time camper life, you know, so that one got to me, you know, just like Gabby Petito and uh, Crystal and Colin Schulte, you know, the van lifers. You know, I remember when I first started camping, or when I first started my RV life, it was before my youngest daughter had gotten married and she was in college. And we were, I went and picked her up at college for, I want to say it was late Labor Day weekend, whatever was that Labor Day at the beginning of September? I believe it's Labor Day or Memorial Day. I always get them mixed up. But anyway, the one that's at the beginning of September, I went and picked up my daughter from school, and we were on a 4-day weekend at this campground, and these little kids pulled up and was talking to us. They were riding their bicycles and stuff, and they were playing with the dogs, and they were playing with the cats and everything, and they got on their bikes and left, and my daughter looks at me and she says, "Didn't anybody ever teach them kids stranger danger?" And I said, "Shaughnessy, they're probably from a little town here in Arkansas where their parents didn't have to teach them stranger danger." And the kids came back later on and had their mom with them, and everything, and was showing her our cats and dogs and everything, and that whole day, every single time my daughter and I were sitting outside, those kids would come up on their bikes, and that light bulb finally went off, and I got to I looked at the dogs, and I looked at the cats, and I looked at my daughter, and I said, "Oh my God, I just realized something." And my daughter's like, "What's that, Mama?" And I said, "I have the perfect pedophile set up here." I'm like, cute little kittens, because Shaughnessy's cat had 2 kittens. So I had a cat, 2 kittens, a chihuahua, and a pit lab. I had cats and puppies and dogs and kittens, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, Shaughnessy, I've got the perfect pedophile set up. And I just thought, oh my God, and then these kids are just coming up and pulling up on their bikes in our campsite and just talking to us like they'd known us forever. And that's the first thing when they left. My daughter just said, "God, didn't anybody teach them kids stranger danger?" Because my daughter grew up with me, being involved in being so, involved in true crime and stuff, that I was a very overprotective mother, even though she never missed out on doing things. But I was very overprotective in a lot of ways, and things that I did not allow her to do, because I knew the dangers out there in the world. And, people that aren't always, into true crime the way that I am. You got families out here that, don't know anything about, what's going on in the world. They go to work every day and they come home and they just, think life is great, and they have no idea what's really the meanness that's out here. And we got to teach our kids stranger danger, and you just got to get some systems put into place and different things. But I'm just so thankful that little girl was found, and that she was found relatively unharmed, and that she has with therapy and stuff, that she has a second chance in life, and where so many others have not. Guys, absolutely sickening. Yeah, and it's funny because she's 24 years old now, and we still have a system in place clear across the United States from each other, and I can't be with her physically, but we still have this system in play that we've used for several years, and it still works, just to keep her safe in certain ways, and certain places that she goes to. We just, still continue with the little with the little system that we've always had between us, and I'm still looking out for her. Your kids are always your babies, no matter how old they get. Yeah, there's too many until it hits them at home. Exactly. They're completely oblivious to what's going on and everything. It's sad, because like um there's what I meant when I told my daughter, I said, because they probably grew up in some little podunk community here in Arkansas where they didn't have to learn stranger danger. It's because they lived way out in the boondocks, that they didn't even have no strangers around, but I tell you, this day and age, you're not safe nowhere. Literally nowhere. Not church, the grocery store, Walmart, a concert, a campground, we're just not safe anywhere anymore. And it's just only getting worse and worse and worse with, I don't know, pedos are a sick epidemic. Just a sick epidemic. And it just seems like there's just more and more and more and more of them. Like, they're like cockroaches. You smush one and 10 more come out of the freaking woodworks. It's just disgusting. And I can't even figure people out that even think that way. I can't even begin to understand them. But it's an epidemic. Pedophilia is a sick, overwhelming epidemic in this country. And it gets worse when we get into human trafficking and that kind of thing. And human trafficking is something that we've always known about, but just never did really talk about it too much. And the whole Jeffrey Epstein thing came about and whatnot. Oh yeah, my trust in people nowadays is like the whole people's moral standards have just gone to the shitter. It's just, I hate even going out in public anymore. I'm going to a store and you can't get decent customer service no more. You can't get a thank you out of nobody. People working in stores selling products that they don't even know what they're selling. They don't. Just, awful. Whew. But anyway, everybody, y'all have a great night. I think I'm fixing to kick back and turn this air conditioner back on and watch a little TV and hit the hay. But like I said, I want to thank everybody for joining me tonight. And, if this is your first time stopping by, please consider hitting the subscribe button, hit the like button. Those thumbs up are what helps me get into the algorithm and whatnot. So who knows? Maybe I'll grow this little channel one day, but if not, I'm happy with the good people that do listen to it. So yeah, it was. It was. But I lived in an area I live in an area in Arkansas, you know, where Interstate 30 is like our main freeway. Like it goes from here all the way through Texas. And a lot of crime has been trucked up and down the road of Interstate 30. Been a lot of crime rolling up and down that road. A lot of drugs, human trafficking, and you name it. A lot of things, terrible things going on. But anyway, everybody have a great night. And please, when you go out into this world, it don't cost a dime to be nice to people. It don't cost a dime to say thank you or to smile. Do unto others as you would want them to do unto you. Be the change that you wish to see in this world. As Michael Jackson said, it starts with the man in the mirror. And don't forget what Tupac said. Keep your head up. Good night, everybody. Peace out.
What's happening, y'all? If you're looking for a sad true crime podcast, then get up off of that thing and boogie on over to the Ruby Pearl Glamper True Crime Podcast, where we give you the lowdown on all things true crime. Oh, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell. Catch you on the flip side.